King of kings, unto his kingdom come, on earth as it is in heaven. One holy nation, under our Heavenly Father, grace, mercy, justice for all.
American Family News, I'm Rusty Q. An upcoming book on Bill and Hillary Clinton is getting lots of attention. The book, Clinton Cash, aims to detail how foreign donations to the Clinton Foundation made Bill and Hillary Clinton rich. David Brock of the liberal Media Matters says it is a, quote, political put-up job meant to derail Clinton's latest campaign for president. Meanwhile, Seton Motley of Less Government says Clinton and Media Matters have a connection.
There's video of Hillary Clinton saying, I started Media Matters. So if there's anybody David Brock and company are going to defend, it's Hillary Clinton.
Motley made his comments on Crane Durham's Nothing But Truth. In 2007, Newsbusters reported Clinton's comments about Media Matters. The leading House Republican says it is very frustrating when the Obama administration and Hillary Clinton continue to stonewall the investigation into why 4 Americans were murdered by terrorists in Benghazi. House Speaker John Boehner says the administration isn't cooperating.
They could clean this up a whole lot quicker if the administration and former Secretary Clinton were in a position to actually cooperate with the committee and turn over the kind of information that we've been seeking for some time. The administration has made it virtually impossible to get to the facts surrounding Benghazi.
The Pentagon says Europe is not spending enough on global defense.
Defense Secretary Ash Carter says European military power is not what it used to be.
We see that slipping.
Telling ROTC cadets in Washington European defense spending has been slipping too, and in light of security threats like terrorism and Russian actions in Ukraine, it's not enough for Europe to just be a moral, political, and economic force. It simply must play a bigger defense role.
It's not that they don't have the money to do it.
Sagar Meghani at the Pentagon.
The debate continues over raising the federal gas tax. More from Chris Woodward.
Congress faces a May 31st deadline to come up with a new transportation funding bill. One idea to pump money into transportation is to raise the federal gas tax. It has not been raised in more than 2 decades, and revenue has been down in recent years. There is a bipartisan measure in the House called the Bridge to Sustainable Infrastructure Act. It would increase the federal gas tax and index it to inflation in order to fund a new transportation funding bill. But Michael Sargent at the Heritage Foundation says Washington is spending money on things drivers are not using.
The Highway Trust Fund was created to build and maintain the interstate highway system, but since then it's kind of had a mission sprawl and is now diverting money from gasoline and diesel taxes to things like metro rail, streetcars, and other projects that motorists just aren't going to be using.
Sargent adds that, quote, any approach that relies on new tax revenues from motorists is not going to solve the problem, end quote.
We need to fix the way that the government spends on transportation infrastructure. And what we should be doing is getting Washington out of the game and letting states and localities decide what is best for their own citizens and building the infrastructure that they think they actually need.
I'm Chris Woodward.
Authorities in France say an Islamic terrorist who was planning to carry out an attack on churches Sunday may have been stopped only because he accidentally shot himself and called for an ambulance. The man in custody is a 24-year-old from Algeria who's lived in France for several years. Correspondent Lori Hinnant reports even though the attack was stopped, it's still very worrisome.
France in general has been on edge since the January attacks on the Charlie Hebdo newspaper and a kosher supermarket. Those attacks left 20 people dead, including the 3 gunmen. The suspect in the latest case had been flagged to security officials, but they didn't open a formal investigation.
The arrival of spring has home sales blooming. The National Association of Realtors says sales of existing homes jumped 6.1% last month. The cold and snowy winter cut into purchases. Despite the March surge, there's yet to be a meaningful increase in listings. Danielle Hale, who's with the National Association of Realtors, says they're optimistic about the housing market for the rest of the year.
We think that 2015 will continue to be a reasonably strong market, perhaps balanced a little bit in favor of sellers over buyers.
American Family
Record budget deficits, bankruptcies galore, and the U.S. dollar is at an all-time low. With today's gloomy economic outlook, safe investments are often hard to find. For over a decade, Melody Cedarstrom at Discount Gold and Silver Trading Company has been helping people secure their future by investing in the precious metals. Melody has the honesty, integrity, and experience that is often lacking in the precious metals business. Let her put it to work for you. Call Discount Gold and Silver Trading at 800-375-5555 800-375-4188. That's 800-375-4188.
You're listening to FirstAmendmentRadio.com worldwide. Freedom is never free. We need your support today at FirstAmendmentRadio.com.
And we're back with the second hour of To Free America here on the American Freedom Network, and we need your help, folks. Simple as that. Need your help. You won't hear shows like this on Clear Channel, trying to get the truth out there to awaken you masses. We need your help. We especially need, well, we got to buy some more squirrel food. We need your help. Call Michael, 800-205-6245, 800-205-6245. You can make a pledge on your plastic. You can order a copy of today's show, past shows we've done, other shows here on the network. That helps us out. You can pick up that envelope and address it to KHNC, P.O. Box 1750, P.O. Box 1750, Johnstown, Colorado, Federal Occupation Zone, 80534. Your check, your money order, much appreciated. We'll even still take the fraudulent reserve notes. Other currencies, well, if you got Chinese yuan, that'll be the new global currency. You better grab those while you can. You can send those in. You can send in some just weights and measures, the Lord's money. At the very least, tell your friends and family. Tune in 1360 a.m. on the Internet at America News Net, AmericaNewsNet.com, and call the advertisers, folks, and let them know you're out there, you're listening, and you appreciate their support of American Freedom Network. My guest this second hour, a watchwoman on the wall trying to awaken the slumbering masses out there, Deborah Taveras. Deborah, happy Earth Day, Deborah.
Well, Randy, as you can imagine, here in Northern California, the land of Rothschild and heavy progressives, we are in full-fledged celebration to save the planet from too many people using too much stuff. And, Randy, interestingly enough, about 2 years ago, during Earth Day here in Northern California, there was a venue at a wine country, and Ted Turner was there. And I was able to meet him, discuss realities with him, including the smart meters and the geoengineering, of which he appeared to have no knowledge of either assaults on humanity. And I gave him all of that information. And interestingly enough, that meeting is on YouTube, and it's called Ted the Terrible Turner. It is my recounting that event and meeting him with photographs from the venue here at the Iron Horse Vineyard in Northern California, which has heavy ties to Rothschild, as does Mondavi wineries and many of the wineries here in the wine country here in Northern California. So, yes, full-fledged celebrating here to save the planet from all of the evils of all of us. But I want to get a couple of extremely important call to actions out to everyone who's listening. All of you, I'm sure, have been hearing about the psychological warfare being played on us with NASA saying that California only had 12 months of water left. Well, now that's 11 months if you're keeping track. And, of course, that is outrageously horrific, not true. And I'm going to urge everybody to go to our website, primarywater.org, primarywater.org, to understand why we do not have a water shortage. It's very important for everyone to understand and get this information out as far and wide as possible. Water is a renewable, and we're being tricked just as we were with peak oil, being told it came from dead, decaying dinosaurs and plant material, and of course we know that oil and petroleum is renewable as well, and never did come from dead dinosaurs. Well, they're doing peak water now, trying to create the idea that we're running out of water. We are the water planet. And it is most important for everybody to question, where do the hot and cold springs come from? Where do geysers, the water gushing out of those, come from? What about the oases in the desert, where it seldom rains and yet there's water? What about Israel in the early 1950s, connecting with primary water experts and being able to bring in the populations that only accessing primary water would afford? Then we have Muammar Gaddafi in Libya, who did create the 8th wonder of the world, called the Great Man-Made River Project. While digging for oil in the African desert, they hit water, and they used oil revenues to literally bring that water to the Libyan people, which serves 70% of the Libyan people's needs of water for free, until NATO and the U.S. went in and blew up the Great Man-Made River Project. Everyone listening, you can type this into your search engine. You can watch this being constructed on YouTube. It's an amazing feat to be bringing in renewable water from the desert. And we have water. In fact, all the land masses are floating on it. We can easily get to it. We have an excellent YouTube that is up. It's called Primary Water Explained. Primary Water Explained. Share this far and wide. We can no longer be made fearful over the media psyops that's hitting us from every single direction. And Randy, this will be the best news that I have to share on the program today, is the fact that we do not have a water shortage. And primary water is in abundance, and we've got to start looking down for water instead of up, because we've sadly been taught that water comes from rain and snowmelt. And while that is what
does.
we see... I'm sorry?
It does, some of it, yes.
Well, it is the secondary water cycle. Rain and snowmelt is actually a result of the evaporation of primary water. All of the water on the surface of the earth originates from primary water. And when you access primary water that has never been exposed to the atmosphere, you have clean, pure drinking water. And what we've discovered is, of course, they are teaching us only the secondary water system, the polluted water system. So sadly, all of us have been drinking polluted atmospheric water, believing that's our water supply, rather than getting to the pure, healthy water. We'll talk about that on the other side of the break.
We'll be right back.
Howdy, folks. Have you ever thought about
Hear it first on FirstAmendmentRadio.com and FirstAmendmentRadio.net. The program you are listening to is 100% sponsored by you, the listener, on this First Amendment Rights Media channel. You will notice that there are few commercials on this radio network. There's a good reason for that. Corporate advertising dollars come with strings that limit program content. So without your help, these programs cannot continue on Internet or our several affiliates. If you benefit by the educational law programs, we ask you to give. If you are admonished or nurtured by the Bible and ministry programs, we ask you to give. If some voice a cause that you are passionate about, we ask you to give. If you believe in any of these, we ask you to support them as you would a missionary on a continual basis, as if giving a tithe for missionary radio. These programs are not commercially viable and must be supported by those faithful to the cause of truth. Look for the button to sponsor your favorite programs at our listen and schedule pages on the Internet. Then, when you subscribe, we will send you the last quarterly MP3 CD of that program immediately, and continue to do so with each new quarter. We will also give you unlimited archive access to all of our programs. We're asking you to give much less than a tithe, so that you may also send support directly to a particular program host. cause, and anywhere else the Spirit may lead you. Do all to the glory of our God and Creator, for His holy nation, the only kingdom that will last forever. Thank you for listening.
You're listening to FirstAmendmentRadio.com worldwide. Freedom is never free. We need your support today at FirstAmendmentRadio.com.
Website, StopTheCrime.net. StopTheCrime.net. A wealth of information, folks, to overcome the lies and the propaganda that you're being fed by the environmentalists, the powers that be, that want to control everything about you, also to overcome the propaganda your children are being fed in the public fool system. You really need to get them out of there, folks. If there's any way you can, get your children out of the schools before they're totally ruined.
That's absolutely right. Absolutely
we
right.
left off, Deborah, last hour with Dr. Michael Kaufman talking about how the EPA, Army Corps of Engineers, everything else wants to control every single drop of water here in the United States. So we can't have the folks knowing about primary water. We just can't have that.
Well, I will tell you, I have a YouTube, Randy, that's up. Everyone can listen to it, and it is called Water Wars, Stealing Water for Profit and Power. Again, Water Wars, Stealing Water for Profit and Power. We have found documents out of the UK and out of Israel that list the agencies within the United States that are set up to privatize the water. In other words, take over our public municipalities, the water suppliers here. And the documents are absolutely heart-wrenching when you read them. And you can download these documents under the YouTube itself. Again, Water Wars, Stealing Water for Profit and Power. It's very important to note that the two documents that we found, one is entitled Global Water Intelligence, Water Market USA. It's a report out of Oxford, England, and this shocking plan identifies and exposes the corporate national and international government agencies and the bankers planned and designed to secretly take over the public water municipalities to privatize the water resources for corporate profit and control. What is happening, and there's a second document, too, written by Goldman Sachs, which is, of course, the international banking cabal, and it's entitled Taking a Deep Dive into Water. They talk about the big profits they will make in convincing all of us that our water is so poisonous that we have to have water treatment plants and desalinization. In these documents, you will read their lust for more money and profits out of forcing us into the belief that that's the only source of water is toxic atmospheric water, which has been intentionally poisoned, and that's why the YouTube Water Wars, Stealing Water for Profit and Power is so important. We packed that YouTube with nothing but documents, and everyone can get a quick overview of exactly what has happened and understand this massive PSYOPs media campaign with scarcity, which is a genocide program, as well as taking over the food supply. What's also behind the illusion of scarcity of water, and in conjunction with the weaponized weather war system that we have as well, is to bring in GMO. That is the plan. And we discovered that in a document that we have on our website. It is entitled, on the top of the homepage, Strategic War Plans, a Global Strategic War Plan. And just so that everyone can get a hold of these documents, if you're not able to download these documents from our website, stopthecrime.net, for free. Everything is a free download. We do have a print shop. You can call 586-9558. Again, 707-586-9558. And for the cost of printing and shipping, you can get a hold of any of these documents that you hear me discussing. These are extremely important. We recommend you take these to your city councils, your county board of supervisors, fully understanding that they're not working for you, but there are people sitting in the audience. This also goes up in many instances on a video feed, and people that are unable to attend the meetings can oftentimes hear what you say. So if you hold these documents up and other people can read them, we can get this information spread much more quickly, because we're the media, and that's it. And we're doing banner hangs now. Again, we're really trying to get everyone involved in exposing the water fraud and the reality that primary water is why we do not have a water shortage. So I think the quickest way for everyone that's listening right now to digest this fact is listen to the YouTubes that we have posted on primarywater.org. Again, Primary Water Explained and Water Crisis Hoax. Also, just for everyone's interest, I am on the Rinse Radio Network, 6 p.m. Pacific Time, Monday through Friday. You can listen to the archives on the homepage of StopTheCrime.net. And we have incredible interviews that I'm sure you will not want to miss. But getting back to water and the action alert on Earth Day, because, again, being today is Earth Day, we've got to get this good news out. But just so that everyone knows what we see here with the celebrations of Earth Day, they're telling us here every day in the United States is Earth Day, and that there's 100 countries celebrating Earth Day to raise ecological awareness across the globe. They talk about how originating on April 22nd of 1970, it is a day that was chosen to reflect on both our planet and the environment. And it's also a day to educate others in ways we can keep our Earth healthy. Well, we can keep our Earth healthy and educate one another with scientific facts. And that's the purpose of the show, Randy, I know that you are doing right now, is educating people on the facts. And they say Earth Day is a worldwide commemoration as well as a day to remember the importance of protecting our environment. Well, our environment, as everyone knows that's listening, has been intentionally poisoned. We have chemtrails, poisons in the water supply, the food supply, the air. We have a toxic, poisonous de facto corporate government that is allowing the ramrodding of a corporate system that is void of recognizing life. This is why we're all noticing an exponential speed in which we are literally being taken over on every level. And in that document that I referred to, the Global Strategic War Plan, we found this, Randy, out of the Ministry of Defense out of the UK. And it tells us in this document that due to the inertia of climate change, even if we were to reduce our CO2 emissions to zero tomorrow, we would not be able to stop climate change. And it talks about the two pillars of climate change. One is, of course, mitigating every aspect of reducing our carbon footprint as possible. And I've talked about this before on your program, Randy, and those are the plans that all of our cities are approving and or have already adopted that require you to reduce your greenhouse gas emissions. And everyone that's listening, I do have a YouTube up that's entitled Who is Running America and the Climate Action Plans. Who is Running America and the Climate Action Plans? Understand that your cities are de facto shadow governments as well as the federal government. Your counties are de facto governments. They do not work for you. While you elect people that you believe are going to serve your best interest, they don't. The minute that they take that oath to the corporation, they no longer work for you, and they're bringing in grants and signing contracts every single day. This is how this monster is being funded by and large. When I go to the meetings here, both county and cities, they're just signing grants every single day. Grants are nothing but bribes tied to these agendas that are redesigning humanity, changing our environment, poisoning our environment, and creating the illusion that we're the culprits, we're responsible for what has happened. And they tell us, of course, human activities are likely to continue to have an impact on the environment. That's because they are going to continue to have an impact on the environment despite what efforts we make. So for those that are conserving, that's a worthy cause. We're not recommending that you do not conserve, but there is nothing we are going to be able to do to mitigate the fact that the weather is weaponized, and that is the climate change. So it's important to understand that part of our reality. And what I found very interesting and horrifying at the same time, Randy, is the precision of language. We're all facing a new language under this redesigning of our environment, creating false markets, creating new markets out of scientific fraud. I mean, when I look at the new markets being created through the climate action plans, they're creating markets of retrofitting, where in every property in the country and globally is non-compliant to the new green energy standards. And I recently went to a program here in Northern California because we have one of the most aggressive plans to reduce our carbon footprints in our homes as any plan in the entire country. And you can go to my website, again, stopthecrime.net. You can go to the Climate Action Plan link, but you can also watch this on Who's Running America and the Climate Action Plans. But this plan was adopted in Santa Rosa, California, back in June of 2012. And they haven't really started to put teeth into this plan. While it's sitting there, we're watching all of the other cities around us starting to adopt it. And it's a plan requiring that we reduce our CO2 emissions 25% below 1990 levels by the end of this year. The dominant feature in this plan as the culprit is transportation, which is defining rural country areas, farming and ranching, as being unsustainable and sprawl. And we're seeing now the slow reduction and elimination of our emergency response, such as paramedics and fire. They have meetings now taking place here in Sonoma County where they are reducing the number of fire departments and emergency response teams in our rural areas. That's another reason why our roads are in disrepair. There have only been about, I believe the figure is $10 million given to the repair of roads in California, when we need $52 million just now to bring them up to snuff. So we're not going to have roads repaired. In fact, I know people now are buying better quality tires, telling a great ad for the tire business, because we're literally going to be driving on gravel. And so we need to be preparing for that. But one of the words, Randy, that I discovered in the NASA war plan that we've talked about before on your program, again, you can type that in to our website and read this. I'm talking about page 110, page 110. And the plan is actually called Future Strategic Issues, Future War, circa 2025. The future is now. We call it the NASA War Plan to simplify what you just heard me say. But this was a PowerPoint that was presented back in 2001 by Dennis Bushnell, the chief NASA scientist. Now, NASA is incorporated. It does not work for us. It is working for the corporate structure. That's why NASA is giving the forecast of California running out of water now in 11 months. They don't work for us. This is all part of the elimination of the economy, the food supply, property values, etc., in California. But on page 110, it says this: war between mass armies weighted down with outdated equipment has become a third world sport. The advanced world is too vulnerable to survive a war of attrition or mass destruction, and the advanced world must learn to conduct its affairs by the threat or use of small specialized forces exploiting high tempo and strategic surprise terrorism. I'm going to define this further because this is where we get into the...
We're on our break,
language.
Deborah. We'll be right back. Continue with the future of war here on the American Freedom Network.
You're listening to FirstAmendmentRadio.com worldwide. Freedom is never free. We need your support today at FirstAmendmentRadio.com. Visit crosstheborder.org, CROSS, crosstheborder.org, to get your print, EPUB, or PDF version of the book, The Rapture Will Be Canceled. That's crosstheborder.org.
I know you all want answers, and believe me, so do I, and I'll do my best to get them.
Despite Nicolas Cage's promise to do his best to get left behind rapture answers for us, don't hold your breath. Not everyone believes Left Behind is true prophecy. Some may even regard as conspiratorial the mainstream re-release of the Left Behind movie with actor Nicolas Cage portraying the main character as an attempt to further reinforce in the minds of all this perception of false prophecy in order to condition the masses for the play about to begin. If you want true Bible prophecy answers, get the book, The Rapture Will Be Canceled. The author exposes the Latin rapture origin, the 7-year tribulation deception, true Bible revelation of Daniel's 70 weeks, the abomination of desolation, the restrainer, America in the revelation, the image of the beast and the mark of the beast, and the truth about God's chosen people, and so much more about Bible prophecy. This book will shatter the Left Behind paradigm of future events. Get the book, The Rapture Will Be Canceled. Visit crosstheborder.org, CROSS, crosstheborder.org, to get your print, EPUB, or PDF version of the book, The Rapture Will Be Canceled. That's crosstheborder.org.
Since the beginning of time, kings have sought it, nations have fought for it. It has been traded, it has been borrowed, it has been purchased, it has been stolen. There's a reason for it. To secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and to our posterity, invest with the security of gold and silver. Call Discount Gold and Silver Trading at 1-800-375-4188 or visit discountgoldandsilvertrading.net. Listen to Financial Survival with your host, Melody Cedarstrom, right here on FirstAmendmentRadio.com at 4 p.m. Eastern or 1 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit discountgoldandsilvertrading.net or call Discount Gold and Silver Trading at 1-800-375-4188. Toll free, 1-800-375-4188.
You're listening to FirstAmendmentRadio.com worldwide. Freedom is never free. We need your support today at FirstAmendmentRadio.com.
And we're back. Deborah Travers, my guest this second hour. You can catch her on Rinse Radio. You can go to stopthecrime.net and link up there. 7 p.m. Mountain Time is her radio show. PrimaryWater.org. Check that out, primarywater.org, and stopthecrime.net. Wealth of information there, folks. A wealth of information to give you the ammunition to be able to go to your city council, county commissioners, and say, no, you're going to stop this crime, and here's why. Because if you continue down this road, you will be in violation and committing treason against the people. And, Deborah, this is all straight out of the report from Iron Mountain. This whole Earth Day environmentalism, worship the creation more than the creator.
That's absolutely right. In fact, Randy, that's why I really urge everybody to listen to the YouTube, Water Wars, Stealing Water for Profit and Power, because we take information out of the Iron Mountain report in that. And people can also get the DVDs of that as well by, again, calling 707-586-9558, 707-586-9558. The documents that are described, as I've said before, are critical, absolutely critical. Our water is being stolen. And within that, you will also see a map that we found in the Department of Interior, which is another corporate agency set up to take down the water supply in the United States. It gives you a list of all of the corporations that have been put in place to literally create this illusion of limited water resources. You must know who they are, and they're listed in that YouTube. It's a combination of all the documents and the listings of all.
Okay, but Deborah, wait. Here, the mainstream media, they show us a picture of this lake in California, and from whatever 10 years, 12 years ago, 15 years ago, and here's the boats up here, and then they show us a picture of it today, and here's the boats are sitting there on the hard ground, and there's no water down there.
Well, that's all the media psyops, as you know. We have weather weapons. We have been certainly put into this drought. And what is happening, what people are seeing that is real, is the overpumping of some of the groundwater basins because they're not allowed to recharge from the primary water that would ultimately recharge those areas. What needs to happen, and that's why looking at that YouTube Primary Water Explained is so critical for people to understand what you're seeing in this media psyops. Because once you understand that the overpumping, the dropping lakes, is all a part of the weather weaponization, as well as the fact that we need to be accessing primary water. In fact, there is a book on primarywater.org that's a free download. I recommend everybody download it, read it, and take it with you everywhere. Download the flyers that we have. Again, I announced at the beginning of the program that this is an action alert request. We need everyone on board to kill this water redefining of science. We've got to stop it now. And do banner hangs. Get the banners. We have our vehicles out as we speak right now. We do traffic studies. We're here in the wine country, so there's much foreign travel here. We park our vehicles in high-volume traffic areas with huge banners hanging on them with a box of flyers so that people can get flyers. And the banners say primary water. We do not have a water shortage. Water is renewable. Primarywater.org. So that people start getting the idea that what they're hearing is just absolute lies, and that is what we are being fed. But the book that everyone needs to read that is on primarywater.org is entitled New Water for a Thirsty World. It was written by Michael Salzman, Salzman. Interesting, Randy, the foreword was written by Aldous Huxley. When this book was written at the end of the 1950s and released in the early 60s, it was gathered up by the water elite in Southern California, and it was gathered up and destroyed. We were never intended to read this book. That is why I would recommend everybody download it, read this to your grandchildren, pass the information out about the truth of water science, and spend some time. I wanted to just go over very quickly what attrition warfare meant, because prior to the break I was breaking that out from page 110 of the NASA War Plan. And it's a scientific warfare largely based upon attrition. This was originally published by the Royal United Services Institute. Warfare by attrition seeks victory through the cumulative destruction of the enemy's material assets by superior technology. This is what we are facing right now, a warfare of attrition. Again, we have to listen to words carefully because a new language is being designed, and we cannot understand our reality unless we also follow the language that is being literally discussed in all the meetings that I attend, at least. In fact, another word of critical importance is called commodification. When I first heard that word, they used it as commodify. And you just think in your mind, you know what commodity means. Well, I want to just read you something in the Russian River Times, and then I'm going to define what commodification means. First, in the Russian River Times, this is an issue from March the 21st to yesterday, April the 21st, 2015. For those of you, the Russian River is a river that runs very close to Bohemian Grove here in Northern California. It also supplies Sonoma County with its water needs. We recently discovered that the actual uphill water flows to the Russian River are owned by Rothschild through PG&E. PG&E acquired the water rights in 1930 of the Eel River. And PG&E is Rothschild. You can type PG&E, Pacific Gas and Electric, in your search engine, followed by Rothschild. Rothschild CEO sits on the board at PG&E. So many Rothschild connections we have found. We have a number of YouTubes up in Sonoma County, the Board of Supervisors approving agendas and taking grant money that is funded by Rockefeller and Rothschild. And we have these up. Everyone needs to spread this far and wide. This is happening in your counties and in your cities as well. But in the Russian River Times, there's an article called Sour Grapes in the Wine Country. And it talks about how there are many outside industries and operations that are coming to the rural areas here in the wine country to expand vineyards and to create event centers and commercial bottling operations, and under the pretense that they are agriculture, which they're not. They're alcohol-producing factories and large wineries seek to
Yes. More alcohol, more fruit of the vine. Yes. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Years ahead of the dominant media, FirstAmendmentRadio.com and FirstAmendmentRadio.net.
Have you read The Last Prophecy? The book of Revelation. Who can understand it? We believe that God wrote His Word to us for our understanding and salvation, on which so many diverse Christians believe in the same fundamental principles. But not so the prophecy of Daniel and Revelation. Has God, by His Holy Spirit, given a sure interpretation to these mysterious passages through the centuries? Yes, He has. The only difference to the individual is on which side of each prophecy he stands in time, before or after, past or future. The Last Prophecy is as much a book of history, fulfilling prophecy, exposed in such a way as to leave you without a doubt. Because we are living near the end of this era, we should be able to understand the substantial amount of the revelation which has already come to pass. Get the book, The Last Prophecy, which is an abridgment of E.B. Elliott's Jorge Apocalypticae, the most comprehensive work ever done on the Revelation, condensed down to a mere 258 pages. You will come away with numerous, incontrovertible revelations into the book of Revelation to easily dispel all of the futurist confusion which has become so popular over the last century. Visit the shopping page at FirstAmendmentRadio.com to get your copy. Get 20% off when you buy it at the FirstAmendmentRadio.com shop.
Years ahead of the dominant media, FirstAmendmentRadio.com and FirstAmendmentRadio.net.
And we're back. Randy Yarbrough with you, my guest, Deborah Tavares, this second hour. Websites, get your pen and paper out. Get prepared on this. Educate yourself. Overcome the propaganda you've been fed for 45 years on this Earth Day. Primary water primarywater.org. And the main website, links to all of that, stopthecrime.net. Stopthecrime.net. You can link to Deborah's radio show at Rinse Radio there, stopthecrime.net. You were going to read from the local paper there about the commoditization. Is that what the word?
Well, actually, yeah, I'm just going to finish a line out of the article, Sour Grapes in the Wine Country. And they talk about how the wineries are overusing precious limited resources, such as water, overusing air, and land, which threatens the environment and the quality of life in our semi-rural region. Now, you heard me just say air.
Yes.
Air. I'm going to talk about that in a moment, but I'm going to just cite this. This is one of the new water rules that has come into play here in California. This is why everyone needs to get on board and get these flyers out and educate everybody about primary water. And don't succumb to losing farms, ranches, livelihoods, reducing the food supply, and allowing an easy ride-in by Monsanto because we believe we're running out of water. When we're being withheld the pure drinking water that we need, the water that has not been exposed to the atmosphere, isn't poisoned by bombings, chemtrails, Fukushima, the runoff with all the toxins of the fertilizers, etc., that go into our reservoirs, and then it's pumped into our homes with added fluoride and chlorine, etc. We have been drinking, and our IQs are substantially reduced because we have thought our water comes from rain and snowmelt. No. You know that people are accessing primary water, and they have all over the world. We have been denied. Now it's time to understand this is a celebration today of good news about primary water. But here are some of the rules in California. California needs to replace 50 million square feet of lawns to drought-tolerant landscaping. And we no longer can build homes that have landscaping or water on the exterior unless it's a drip system with landscaping that's indigenous to the area. All of that is fine, but I want everyone to listen very, very carefully to this rule. Directing state departments to provide temporary relocation assistance to families who need to move from homes where domestic wells have run dry to housing with running water. This is it. This is the Wildlands Project. This is exactly how forced relocation of people from the rural country areas is going to occur. I'm going to read it again. Directing state departments to provide temporary relocation assistance to families who need to move from homes where domestic wells have run dry to housing with running water. So this is important to understand how primary water works. Many of these wells would regenerate in time, but the fact is that the well drillers have not been accessing primary water. They've only been drilling and accessing the aquiferic secondary water cycle, the poisonous water cycle. You do not need to drill deep for primary water, and that's why, again, primary water explained is so important. I'm going to break down the word of commodify and commodification. It's critical because I heard this a number of times, and most recently during a program that we attended in San Jose near Silicon Valley, an annual event entitled the American Association for the Advancement of Science. Again, the American Association for the Advancement of Science, it's called AAAS. That's what they call themselves. It's most important to know who this is. This is a group of millions and millions of participants that ascribe to Earth Day and the illusion of limited resources. So it's important to understand this is a scientific takeover and international banking takeover. But getting to the word commodify, it is a Marxist word, and it means everything will be bought and sold. The weather, the climate, the water, the air, the food, and people. It goes on to tell us human beings can be considered subject to commodification in contexts such as genetic engineering and social engineering, cloning, eugenics, social Darwinism, fascism, mass marketing, and employment. And an extreme case of commodification is slavery, where human beings themselves become a commodity to be bought and sold. Well, we're in there. That's what we are experiencing right now. We are being bought and sold, our genes. We're being reconfigured. What commodification easily means, in a nutshell, is everything that was unsellable before will become sellable. Again, everything that was never sellable before will become sellable. When I attended this meeting, the AAAE meeting, I discovered that the international bankers are seeking increased revenues. There's too many revenue gaps in our current system. And the gap, by and large, is the way we produce our food supply. All farming is no longer sustainable. This even comes from the USDA that is supposed to serve and benefit the farmers. When you type in the USDA followed by emissions, you learn that they are perpetrators. They are stabbing the farmers in the backs. Very important to understand enemies are. So commodification is another term. Also, Randy, I want to slip this in very quickly because this is what is also occurring. They're creating resilient cities. And you can find out if your city is listed as a resilient city just by typing in the name of your city followed by resiliency. Resilient cities were created by Rockefeller Foundation, and that's, of course, the organized criminal trauma corporate networks. And these resilient cities are for trauma training.
Trauma training, yes.
Trauma training.
Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
You're invited together.
I pledge allegiance to the King of Kings and to his kingdom come on earth as it is in heaven. One holy nation, and our Heavenly Father, grace, mercy, justice for all.
Gold and silver is tremendously undervalued. Global demand vastly exceeds mine supply by more than 60% annually. There is little in the financial world more certain than a coming explosion in the prices of gold and silver. The U.S. dollar continues to lose value and respect as the world's reserve currency. Our nation faces challenges on many fronts, and a day doesn't pass without another economist bringing forth warnings of impending economic calamity. There has never been a better time than right now to acquire physical gold and silver. Discount Gold and Silver Trading was founded on the principles of truth and honesty. We believe in providing a quality product, quality service, and most importantly, competitive pricing. We provide all forms of precious metals, including American gold, silver, platinum, and rare investment and circulated coins. Silver bars, rounds, and 90% silver bags are on hand for the silver investor. Gold, self-directed IRAs are available. Call Discount Gold and Silver Trading at 1-800-375-4188. Toll free, that's 1-800-375-4188. If you'd like to get a copy of this program, you may subscribe at FirstAmendmentRadio.com for only $45 a month, and you'll receive an MP3 CD weekly of all of our programs. As a bonus, we'll send you a password for our audio archives online. That's a $15 value. Or you may request any month of any program on one MP3 CD for a minimum donation of only $25, or any single program on tape, MP3 CD, or CD for only $15. You may do all of this online at FirstAmendmentRadio.com. Just follow the instructions to make a donation or subscribe. You may also adopt an hour of your favorite program. Please don't forget that most of the programs on FirstAmendmentRadio.com are listener-supported. Don't do Internet? Then call 559-781-3773 and we'll be honored to help you. Thank you from all of us here at FirstAmendmentRadio.com.
You're listening to FirstAmendmentRadio.com worldwide. Freedom is never free. We need your support today at FirstAmendmentRadio.com.
Cafe at 200 East 1st Street in Alton. It's a great place for great food and a good time. On the air, because they care.
we're back with the closing minutes of today's show. Deborah Taveras, my guest this hour. PrimaryWater.org. PrimaryWater.org. Check it out. The main website with all the information and links. StopTheCrime.net. StopTheCrime.net. Set your young ones down, because they've been thoroughly propagandized today. They probably even watched Al Gore video for Earth Day today, and so you can scare the little children that they're all going to die because all the polar bears are going to die, and overcome that propaganda. Give them the truth. So we've got these resilient cities, huh?
Yes. Yes, this was pioneered by Rockefeller, and I just want to tell everybody what a resilient city is. It is really literally trauma training. Those are my words, but this is what they mean. It says we live in a world of increasing volatility, where technology and greater interconnectedness have accelerated change and altered the way people live. Resilience is the capacity of individuals, communities, and systems to survive, adapt, and grow in the face of stress and shocks, and even transform when conditions require it. We have weaponized weather, food, every aspect of what is being dumped on us is weaponization. Now they're going to be blaming us if we are not resilient and survive the trauma that they're dumping on us. They say building resilience is about making people, communities, and systems better prepared to withstand catastrophic events and shocks and stresses. Then they go on to say, humans are not born with resilience. We learn it. We adapt to it. Resilient systems and organizations or individuals possess the 5 characteristics. I am only just saying this is trauma training, blaming us for not emotionally or physically being able to cope with this massive, redundant, weaponized system of war that is engaged on us through attrition warfare, where our resources, our water, our land, our cities are being pummeled, raped, pillaged, and pummeled. And we're just in a war on all levels, and it's most important for people to at least get the great news out of primary water. Get this out far and wide. We did a campaign, Randy, where we went down I-5, which connects from San Francisco down to Los Angeles through the San Joaquin Valley, and many of us were passing out flyers to the smaller farmers and ranchers, and some of the bigger ones as well, to advise them of primary water. And it is really about drill, baby, drill. And before moratoriums expand across the United States, which they're already starting, Ventura County created a moratorium several months ago against drilling new wells. They don't want us to access water for our survival and the clean water that we all need. So go to primarywater.org. Randy, thank you for having me on today.
Yes, absolutely, Deborah. Thank you for all your hard work. Hang in there, and God protect you. And remember, folks, the question is not, do you know the Lord Jesus Christ? The question is, does He know you?
And of His fullness we have all received, and grace for grace.
Since the beginning of time, kings have sought it, nations have fought for it. It has been traded, it has been borrowed, it has been purchased, it has been stolen. There's a reason for it. To secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and to our posterity, invest with the security of gold and silver. Call Discount Gold and Silver Trading at 1-800-375-4188 or visit discountgoldandsilvertrading.net. Listen to Financial Survival with your host, Melody Cedarstrom, right here on FirstAmendmentRadio.com at 4 p.m. Eastern or 1 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit discountgoldandsilvertrading.net or call Discount Gold and Silver Trading at 1-800-375-4188. Toll free, 1-800-375-4188. Hear it first on FirstAmendmentRadio.com and First Amendment Radio.